In this particular segment, we're going to show you some things that occurred in Europe and even in South America after World War II and even during World War II. The Germans, as you know, were all over the place in World War II, and they took their Feuerschutzpolizei, which was the fire protection police, with them, and they wore the German military helmet. And this was the German military helmet. This particular one is from Berlin from the 1940s. And it turns out that the German fire service, after World War I, which they had gone to a helmet that looked similar to this, adopted that helmet in the German fire service as their standard helmet. So that became the standard helmet. Now, one thing about this helmet is the crown piece on this indicates that this is a fairly large city in Germany. The smaller cities just work without the crown piece on the top. This happens to be Berlin, actually there during World War II. It came from a friend of mine in Germany. His grandfather gave it to him. Now, as that went on, we look at Germany today, and this happens to be Berlin today. Same helmet, same leather piece down the back, only this one glows in the dark. And this one is metal, and for a while they changed helmets, and now they're back into this helmet in Berlin. And it's the same exact design. It's a little bit lighter metal. They protect themselves from electricity by this being a very thick material, paint-wise, and then of course the glow-in-the-dark thing helps also, I guess. But this is the helmet today, so they're still using that same design. Now let's go a little bit further into Belgium. Belgium was where the Germans went and took over Belgium pretty quick, and the Belgian fire service adopted this helmet. We're told to do it, I guess. And even after the war, when they still had them, they still used this helmet, and only they put the modern Belgian fire insignia on it. And this helmet was back around the late 1940s, early 1950s, until they went to something different. Then we go down to Denmark, and this happens to be a helmet that's worn today by the fire service in Denmark called Falk, which was originally Falk Zonen, and it's a private company that provides fire protection for Denmark. Not all the cities have it, but most of the cities have Falk, F-A-L-K. They run a big ambulance service, they run the trash pickup, some places they run the police, but this is their helmet, and it's exactly the same helmet the Germans wore in World War I and World War II, but it has the eagle on the front, which signifies that this is a Falk, F-A-L-K helmet. Then we go over to Holland, and this is a helmet from Holland, from Rotterdam, Holland. This helmet was actually given to Chief Richards of the LA City Fire Department back in the 1950s. And when I was a captain at Laguna Hills, he heard I had a fire helmet collection, and he brought it down to me and said, "Harry, you need this worse than I do." Now this helmet here is kind of unique in that it weighs almost 3.5 pounds. And the reason it weighs so much is that the outside of this helmet is actually coated with porcelain. And there's a couple little chips that have happened over the years. So again, the same style helmet, same flip, same German helmet, same leather. By the way, the Germans call this the Nackenleder, which literally translated means neck leather, and keeps stuff from going down the neck. This is a little bit later helmet from Holland, and as you can see, they've done a different thing. They did was painted it a different color so it'd be more visible. And so there again, you have all these helmets here are all exactly the same. We're going to move over to some other helmets over here. This helmet here was worn in Austria, and especially down in the Tyrolean part of Austria. And again, it's the German helmet, has a white band around it. It's the only fire service agencies in Europe that wear this white band are the people from the Tyrolean part of Austria. But here again, we still have the same crown on the top. Then we jump over to Spain in the 1960s, and they too started using this helmet. This happens to be the city symbol for the city of Madrid, and then the axes and ropes and whatnot on it are indicative of the fire service. But this helmet was worn in Spain clear up until the time they actually bought our fire helmet, and were wearing it for several years. And then they got rid of these helmets. But I actually got this in 1960, and it was still the helmet for the for the Spanish Fire Service, and as a matter of fact, it's very comfortable. This helmet here, now we're going up a little bit higher in Europe, this is from Finland. And again, they don't wear this helmet today, but they did wear it back in the 60s and the 70s. And the Germans went into Finland at one time, and they helped the Finns kick the Russians out of Finland, and then they kicked the Germans out of Finland. After, I guess Hitler didn't figure that was a real important thing to pursue, so they left. But this was the helmet, even in the 1960s and 1970s. And again, it's the aluminum helmet, very lightweight and very comfortable, and like I said, it offers a lot of protection. Going to, I'm going to jump way over right now. This is, no, let's don't do that one yet. This is from Sweden. Now this is a one-piece helmet made out of aluminum from Brisman Brandredskap, the fire helmet company over there. And it is exactly the German same style, only this is a stamped piece of aluminum and it's all one piece. I sometimes wonder, you know, what was your thoughts about electrical conductivity when you're wearing this helmet? This was actually worn in the 1960s and the early 1970s in Sweden. Then we jump a little further again back into Austria. This one happens to be from Wies, Austria, and it's a German helmet, but it has this little thing on the top that helmet collectors refer to as the octopus. And this was worn in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, and it was, again, get very popular, and I'll show you how that transmitted over. This is basically the design of the modern fire helmet from Austria. This happens to be from Vienna, and I got this back in the 60s. Today they have a fiberglass version of this, and we don't have one in the collection. I've been trying to get one. We'll see if we can get one in the next few years. But again, it has the octopus all over the top, same octopus that was on this helmet here. So that kind of carried over as a traditional thing to the Austrian fire service. Then, last but not least, we go clear over to South America. And this happens to be Company 6 in the Santiago Fire Brigade, in the Corporal Bomberos in Santiago, Chile. And this is basically a parade helmet. But this helmet comes from the part of Santiago where most of the Germans live. I don't know if anybody knows anything about the fire service in Santiago, but each neighborhood is like an ethnic neighborhood. There's an Irish neighborhood, similar to New York. And in that neighborhood, the volunteer fire company for that neighborhood wears the helmet of the company that they represent in that neighborhood. So there's still, in Santiago, Chile, there are companies that wear this helmet right here, because it's all where all the Germans live. A lot of them are wearing American helmets now. A lot of them have gone to our helmet. But this helmet was worn as parade, and again, it's this German helmet with the crown on the top indicating a large city. I think I hit them all. It's interesting to see how people adopt things for what they think are good. It was not a good thing what happened with Hitler and the Nazi Party. But apparently everybody thought the fire helmet was a pretty good fire helmet, so they adopted it and adopted the design and kept that design right up until modern times, where they're going to the more modern wraparound motorcycle helmets in most of Europe right now. So that's it for this session. Thanks for coming, and if you got any questions, give us a call, and if you got any corrections you want to make, let me know. I'm amenable. Thank you very much.